Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to explore one of the most serious and impactful aspects of human history, the devastating loss of life caused by war. From ancient battles to modern conflicts, wars have claimed the lives of millions of people, leaving families and communities forever changed. But beyond the numbers, each life lost represents a story, a dream, and a future that was cut short. War affects everyone, not only those on the battlefield. Civilians are often caught in the crossfire, facing dangers that are beyond their control. Children lose parents, families are separated, and entire communities are forced to flee their homes in search of safety. The scale of human suffering can be staggering, and even after a war ends, the impact can last for generations. In addition to the immediate loss of life, war creates long-lasting consequences for society. Hospitals struggle to cope, food and water become scarce, and essential services break down. Mental health challenges, including trauma and grief, affect not only survivors but also future generations. Every statistic we read in history books represents real people who endured unimaginable hardship. In today's discussion, we will not only look at the historical examples of these tragedies but also reflect on what they teach us about humanity, resilience, and the importance of peace. By understanding the true cost of war, we can better appreciate the value of life and the need for cooperation, empathy, and conflict resolution in our world today. Continuing from our first point about the tragic loss of life in war, we now turn to another profound impact, the psychological trauma experienced by survivors. Even when people escape physical harm, the mental and emotional scars of conflict can last a lifetime. Witnessing violence, losing loved ones, or being forced to flee homes can create deep psychological wounds that are often invisible but extremely real. Children, in particular, are highly vulnerable. Growing up amid conflict can disrupt their sense of safety and normalcy, leading to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD). Adults also face immense challenges, including grief, guilt, and long-term stress that can affect family life, work, and relationships. These effects are not limited to the immediate aftermath. Trauma can pass through generations, influencing communities for decades. Psychological trauma also affects society as a whole. Communities that have experienced war often struggle with trust, social cohesion, and rebuilding everyday life. Schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods bear the consequences of collective stress and fear. Mental health support becomes crucial, yet in war-torn regions, access to care is often limited or non-existent. By understanding the invisible wounds of war, we can see that the human cost extends far beyond what history books or statistics show. Trauma reminds us of the urgent need for empathy, psychological support, and efforts to prevent conflict. Recognizing this impact helps us appreciate peace and the importance of protecting not just life, but the mental well-being of every individual affected by war. Wars leave behind far more than human casualties. They often devastate the very foundations of communities. Roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and other essential facilities can be destroyed within moments, making everyday life extremely difficult for civilians. Without functioning infrastructure, access to healthcare, education, and basic services becomes limited, slowing recovery even after the conflict ends. The destruction also affects transportation and trade. Supply chains break down, food and medical supplies become scarce, and rebuilding efforts can take years or even decades. Cities that were once bustling centers of culture and commerce may be reduced to rubble, forcing residents to relocate or live under harsh conditions. Furthermore, infrastructure damage often has a ripple effect on the economy. Local businesses struggle or close entirely, employment opportunities vanish, and entire regions may face long-term poverty. Even after peace is restored, the cost and time required to rebuild can divert resources from other essential areas, such as education, healthcare, and technological development. This destruction also impacts cultural and historical sites. Monuments, museums, and libraries can be lost forever, erasing tangible connections to a society's past. The loss of infrastructure is not just physical, it shapes how communities function, how people interact, and how future generations remember their history. Understanding this aspect of war highlights that its consequences extend far beyond immediate violence. Rebuilding requires immense effort, cooperation, and planning, reminding us why protecting and maintaining peaceful societies is crucial for sustainable human development. War has a profound and often long-lasting impact on the environment. Bombings, chemical weapons, and military operations can contaminate soil, water, and air, creating hazards that persist long after the conflict ends. Forests may be destroyed, rivers polluted, and farmland rendered unusable, threatening both ecosystems and human livelihoods. In addition to direct destruction, wars often lead to secondary environmental problems. Displaced populations and disrupted infrastructure can increase pressure on natural resources, causing deforestation, overfishing, or water shortages. Wildlife may be killed, displaced, or deprived of their habitats, leading to declines in biodiversity that take decades to recover. Environmental damage also has cascading effects on public health and local economies. Contaminated water and soil can lead to disease outbreaks, while the destruction of agricultural land reduces food production and increases scarcity. Recovery efforts are slow and costly, requiring both financial resources and specialized expertise to restore ecosystems and ensure long-term sustainability. By examining the environmental consequences of war, we see that the impact is not limited to humans, it extends to the planet itself. The damage can disrupt entire communities and ecosystems, highlighting the need for strategies that prioritize peace and environmental protection. Understanding this aspect emphasizes that war does not only destroy buildings and lives, it threatens the natural world that sustains us all. Wars are extremely expensive, not only in terms of human life but also in financial resources. Governments must spend enormous sums on weapons, military operations, and defense systems. This massive allocation of funds often diverts money away from essential public services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure development. The destruction caused by war further disrupts local and national economies. Factories, businesses, and farms are damaged or destroyed, leaving people without jobs and communities without essential goods. Trade networks break down, imports and exports slow, and many regions may face severe shortages of food, medicine, and basic supplies. Inflation and unemployment often rise sharply, making daily life even more challenging for ordinary citizens. Even after a war ends, economic recovery is slow and costly. Rebuilding cities, transportation systems, and public services requires decades of effort and significant investment. Many countries struggle with debt and long-term financial instability because of war-related spending. The economic consequences ripple through generations, affecting education, healthcare, and future development opportunities. Understanding the economic costs of war shows that the impact is far-reaching. It affects not only the present population but also future generations, slowing progress and creating long-lasting hardship. These financial burdens highlight why peaceful solutions and investment in human development are far more sustainable and beneficial than conflict. War often intensifies divisions within societies, deepening tensions between different ethnic, religious, or social groups. Conflicts can create lasting mistrust, suspicion, and hostility, making it difficult for communities to cooperate even after the fighting ends. These divisions can persist for generations, shaping social relationships and influencing political decisions long after peace is restored. Political instability is another common consequence. Wars can weaken governments, creating power vacuums that may be filled by authoritarian regimes or extremist groups. In some cases, entire nations are reshaped as borders are redrawn or new states emerge from the conflict. These shifts can disrupt governance, legal systems, and the rule of law, leaving citizens with limited protection and a sense of uncertainty about the future. Moreover, war can polarize societies by forcing individuals to take sides, often leading to persecution, displacement, or social exclusion. Families and communities may be torn apart, and populations may be divided along political, ethnic, or ideological lines. These rifts can hinder national reconciliation and make rebuilding trust a slow and challenging process. Understanding the social and political consequences of war reveals that its impact extends beyond the battlefield. It not only destroys lives and property but also reshapes societies, leaving long-lasting divisions that affect governance, social cohesion, and the ability to work together toward a peaceful future. Wars often destroy more than lives and infrastructure; they can erase culture and knowledge. Libraries, schools, museums, and historic landmarks are frequently damaged or destroyed, eliminating valuable resources for education and research. These losses interrupt learning, hinder the preservation of history, and reduce opportunities for future generations to connect with their cultural heritage. Education systems are particularly vulnerable during conflicts. Schools may be closed, teachers displaced, and students forced to abandon their studies. This disruption can have long-term consequences, limiting career opportunities and stalling social and economic development. Children who grow up without access to education may struggle to break cycles of poverty and conflict. Cultural loss also affects society's identity and memory. Artworks, religious sites, and historical monuments often carry meaning that strengthens community bonds. When these are destroyed, it erases a sense of collective history and shared experience, weakening social cohesion. Rebuilding cultural institutions takes time, resources, and effort, and some losses are permanent. By examining cultural and educational damage, we understand that war impacts human potential as well as physical safety. Protecting knowledge, traditions, and learning environments is crucial, as they form the foundation for society's growth, creativity, and resilience. Wars demonstrate how fragile these pillars can be, and why preserving culture and education is essential for the future. While war brings immense suffering, it has historically acted as a catalyst for technological and scientific innovation. The urgent demands of conflict often push nations to develop new tools, medicines, and strategies that can later benefit civilian life. For example, advancements in medicine, such as antibiotics, surgical techniques, and trauma care, were accelerated by wartime needs. Military technology also drives innovation. Radar, aviation, communication systems, and even early computers were developed or refined to meet the challenges of warfare. Many of these inventions eventually found applications outside the battlefield, improving everyday life, transportation, and industry. Even space exploration and nuclear energy were influenced by research initially funded for defense purposes. However, it is important to recognize that these benefits come at a tremendous cost. Millions of lives are lost, communities are destroyed, and the environment suffers long-term damage. Technological progress achieved through conflict highlights human ingenuity but also serves as a reminder of the price paid. Understanding this duality helps us see that while war can accelerate innovation, it is not the ideal path to advancement. Societies that invest in science and technology during peaceful times can achieve progress without the destruction and suffering that accompany armed conflict. Reflecting on this encourages us to value peace as a platform for sustainable innovation that benefits everyone. War often acts as a powerful force for political and social transformation. Conflicts can dismantle outdated systems, challenge oppressive regimes, and create opportunities for reform or revolution. For instance, wars have sometimes led to the end of colonial rule, the expansion of voting rights, or the promotion of gender equality, as societies are forced to adapt to new realities. Social structures also shift during and after war. Labor shortages may require women to enter the workforce in unprecedented numbers. Communities may be reorganized, and new social norms can emerge. Populations learn to cope with hardship, develop resilience, and find creative solutions to survive and rebuild. These experiences can leave lasting impressions on national identity and collective values. However, such changes are rarely uniform or easy. Political instability, power struggles, and social divisions often accompany conflict. making progress uncertain and sometimes temporary. Despite these challenges, war can accelerate reforms that might have taken decades to occur under peaceful circumstances. Recognizing the political and social consequences of war allows us to see both the potential for growth and the risks of instability. It highlights the complex relationship between conflict and societal evolution, reminding us that while war can drive change, it comes with enormous costs that peace-oriented reforms can often achieve more safely. Despite the destruction and suffering caused by war, it often reveals the remarkable resilience and unity of people. Communities come together to support one another, sharing resources, protecting vulnerable members, and rebuilding lives amid difficult circumstances. Acts of cooperation and solidarity can strengthen social bonds and foster a sense of shared purpose that endures long after the conflict ends. Individuals also demonstrate extraordinary adaptability. Survivors develop problem-solving skills, leadership abilities, and emotional strength to navigate challenges. Families and neighbors organize themselves to provide education, healthcare, and basic needs even when official systems are disrupted. These experiences highlight the capacity of humans to endure hardship and maintain hope in the face of adversity. Moreover, collective efforts during wartime often inspire future generations. Stories of courage, perseverance, and collaboration become part of a society's memory, motivating people to continue working together for peace, recovery, and progress. These lessons emphasize the importance of community and empathy in overcoming crises. Understanding resilience and unity as outcomes of war reminds us that, even in the darkest times, human beings have the ability to adapt, support one another, and rebuild. It underscores the potential for strength and compassion, illustrating that societies can emerge from conflict with renewed determination to create a better future. Despite the destruction and suffering caused by war, it often reveals the remarkable resilience and unity of people. Communities come together to support one another, sharing resources, protecting vulnerable members, and rebuilding lives amid difficult circumstances. Acts of cooperation and solidarity can strengthen social bonds and foster a sense of shared purpose that endures long after the conflict ends. Individuals also demonstrate extraordinary adaptability. Survivors develop problem-solving skills, leadership abilities, and emotional strength to navigate challenges. Families and neighbors organize themselves to provide education, healthcare, and basic needs even when official systems are disrupted. These experiences highlight the capacity of humans to endure hardship and maintain hope in the face of adversity. Moreover, collective efforts during wartime often inspire future generations. Stories of courage, perseverance, and collaboration become part of a society's memory, motivating people to continue working together for peace, recovery, and progress. These lessons emphasize the importance of community and empathy in overcoming crises. Understanding resilience and unity as outcomes of war reminds us that, even in the darkest times, human beings have the ability to adapt, support one another, and rebuild. It underscores the potential for strength and compassion, illustrating that societies can emerge from conflict with renewed determination to create a better future. While wars have sometimes led to technological progress, social reforms, or political change, these benefits come at an extraordinarily high cost. Millions of lives are lost, communities are destroyed, economies are destabilized, and generations suffer long-term trauma. The human, social, and environmental toll often far outweighs any potential advantages gained from conflict. Even when scientific or technological innovations emerge from wartime research, they are achieved under circumstances of extreme suffering and destruction. Similarly, political or social reforms may occur more rapidly during or after conflict, but they are often accompanied by instability, displacement, and human suffering that peaceful processes could avoid. This duality highlights a crucial lesson: the progress or benefits associated with war are inseparable from its tragedies. Every gain is shadowed by a loss, emphasizing that war is an extremely costly way to achieve societal or technological advancement. Recognizing the high cost of benefits encourages us to consider alternative paths to progress. Investment in education, diplomacy, science, and social reform during peaceful times can lead to meaningful development without the devastation war brings. By understanding this, societies can prioritize peace and collaboration as the most sustainable and ethical routes to growth and innovation. As we have explored today, war leaves a profound and lasting impact on humanity, touching every aspect of life from the loss of human life and psychological trauma to environmental damage, economic hardship, and cultural destruction. Even the potential benefits, such as technological advancements or social reforms, come at an incredibly high cost that affects generations. Understanding these consequences helps us appreciate the true value of peace. It reminds us that human resilience, unity, and creativity flourish best in environments where life is protected, communities are stable, and resources are directed toward growth and well-being rather than destruction. By learning from history, we can work to prevent conflict, resolve differences peacefully, and invest in a future where societies thrive without the shadow of war. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope this discussion has given you a deeper understanding of the far-reaching effects of war and why peace is so essential for humanity. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking stories and insights from history. Stay curious, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video.